Okay. Now we're working on a quiz where we have 1, 2, 3 line segments on a graph. And we want to find the equations of these 3 lines. In this case, of the third equation, we want to estimate the equation based on the scale implicit in the lines that I've sketched in the graph. Now, starting out, what do we know about this line? Well, we know that coordinates at this point, they're where the x equals -8 line meets the y equals 4 line. So the coordinates at this point are -8, 4. And the slope is 2. So first line. You know, it's point -8, 4. Slope 2. Find the equation. Of course, we've been over that the last couple of days. Okay. This ought to be pretty much an automatic procedure by now, or getting there. But it's at least one you would hopefully be able to do. So, yeah, that's a start. Now, what do we know about the second point? Second one. We know the coordinates of 1 on this line. Do we know the coordinates of 2 points in the line? Well, we don't know 2 points in the line. But we do know that its slope is 1. So if we got one other point, we can easily find its equation, right? Or at least there's an easy way to find the equation. Now, for this line, you're going to have to estimate some things. Okay. Estimate the information you might want to use in order to figure out the equation of the line. So first, identify the information you have and make sure you have enough information to determine the equation of the line. If you got 2 points, you can determine the equation. If you got 1 point in the slope, you can determine the equation. Okay. And there are straightforward methods for doing that. And if you happen to have the y-intercept in the slope, it's really easy. We'll see. Against. Okay. So we got this point with a slope. Okay, if we've got a point slope, there's a formula, the point slope form. It would be prominent. Okay. Now you should be reading the text, so you get all these words and stuff. Okay. If you're not reading the text either before or after you work through the assignments, you're going to miss a lot of stuff, and you're not going to put stuff together as well. Okay. You get a lot from the videos, you get a lot from class, but you really also need to read the textbook section. Most people do. Okay. So you have this. That's how you find the equation. Okay. And this is your y1, x1, y1. That's your slope. So you get y minus 4 equals 2 times x minus -8. Here's your y minus 4 equals 2 times x plus 8. So that y minus 4 equals 2x plus 16. Then finally, solve for y, you get y equals 2x plus 20. Then you test it. You plug in -8 for x and see if you don't get y equals 4. Well, 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. 20 and negative 16 is 4. So it confirms this point. It has to have this slope, but just in case, you estimate another point. So maybe you estimate negative 312. Okay, you plug in negative 3 here, and you get 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Add that to 20, you get 14. So at negative 3, it should be 14. It might not look like it the way we've drawn the graph. So negative 312 is a pretty good estimate. It's actually negative 314. That's consistent. It's not totally accurate, but it's consistent. If negative 3 gave you negative 15, you know that that's nowhere near the graph. Okay? And you know that you had something wrong. Make sense? Okay, well, now what do you know? You really need to at least come in knowing the high points of what's going before, okay? Because if you're missing this, or the equivalent as I've explained it, there's a picture that goes with it, but I'm not going to take the time to go through that picture today. You should be looking back at the videos, okay? Of course, when I've said all along in this class, people need to be seeing the videos if they miss a class, and most people are missing most of the classes. People aren't looking at the videos. Well, you know, that probably goes back to the fact that people didn't do the very first thing I told them to do in the welcome page. Then I sent out several emails. Now, I'm not getting on you for not knowing where the assignments page is. I'm glad we got that straight, okay? But we've gone through a third of the course, and you haven't known about the videos, even though I keep talking about them, okay? So they're there. Make sure you know how to use them. And if you miss a class, you need to work through the videos. And yeah, somebody's laughing. Hang on a minute. Okay, now there's a lot more we have to do, so we're going to have to move on with this. But I think people are getting on track now. For this line, we have plenty of information. We have the 0.08 and the slope 1. So we can put that into the slope intercept form and get the equation. However, there's a simpler thing we can do. We know that this point is the y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. If you know what m means and what v means, m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Y equals 1x plus 8, or just x plus 8. Now, if you put it into the slope intercept form and solve for y, that's exactly what you're going to get. But if you recognize that you have the y-intercept here, then you don't need to use a point slope form. You just use the slope intercept form, which is this slope intercept. So putting the information that we know on this graph, this point is 0.8, y equals 8. Okay. Okay, so we can label these two lines with their equations. Y equals 2x plus 20. And y equals x plus 8. Now, what about this line? Well, you're gonna have to make estimates. Okay? You're gonna have to base your equation on estimates, but you're gonna want to get a reasonable equation. So what estimates are you gonna use in order to get that line? Okay, now we gotta move on, so I'm gonna make estimates to get this last equation. And we're gonna illustrate what happens if you got 2 points on the graph. So I'm gonna estimate. I'll do my estimates in slightly different color just to indicate. If X is 5 here, it's reasonable to say this is X equals 10. Estimated, because I didn't give you that information. So this is an estimated line. And this is 4 and this is 8. I'm going to say that's maybe Y equals 7. I think it's a little less than 7, but I want to use whole numbers. I'm also indicating that that's an estimate. So now I have the points. And -6 estimated. And up here I have five, 7 estimated. Now, how am I going to find the equation of the line? If I had the slope, since I've got 2 points, I could use either one of these points to get the equation using the point slope form. Well, I'm going to draw my fundamental triangle. Here. Okay, so here's my fundamental triangle. According to my numbers, what's my rise and what's my run? So what's my slope? Or if you want to estimate your own numbers, do it kind of quickly. And get your own slope. Here is rise equals -6 minus 7, which is -13. Yeah, that's my estimate. You might have used your own, that's fine. And the run equals 10 minus 5. Which equals 5. So the slope we get -13/5. If you got -4/5, there might have been a problem with your calculation of the slope, but the process was correct. This rise is clearly a lot bigger than the run. So we put -13/5 here. So we have it in a convenient place exactly where we want to look. And also we could put a box around this slope and a box around this one, so we know that it means slope. Again, that's just my notation. But I kind of recommend the convention. Okay. So now, the third line. Points are 5, 7, and 10, -6. The slope is -13/5. Let's indicate that this is an estimate. You weren't given those numbers, okay? So your estimate might differ slightly, okay? Now, I'm not gonna do it. Because you know how to do it now. Use one point and the slope, and you get the equation, okay? I'm gonna get y plus 6 equals -13/5 of x minus 5. Get y equals -13 fifths x plus 13, if I did that right in my head. So that if x is 5, you get -13 plus 13, and it isn't 13. I don't know what I was doing with it, 13. It's -13 plus 6, it's -7. So if x is -5, you get 13 minus 7. 13 and 6, it is 13 minus 6, 7. Somehow that's not working. So I did something incorrect here. Because if x is 5, that's going to give me -13 minus 6 should be +7. Okay. Well, let's pretend that's the right equation. It isn't quite, but it's not too far off. X equals 5, get y equals 6, not 7, so it's probably +6. If x is 10, you get -26. We're going to go on pretending this is the right equation. We're going to put a big question mark right here. I just don't want to take the time. We've spent a lot of time on something that we should have been able to do very quickly, but we need to get this done right. Okay. Now, our original graph looks like this. Here's x equals -8. Here's x equals 10 estimated. This is a function y equals f of x. For any x value between -8 and 10, we've got a y value. From the left to -8, to the right of 10, we don't have anything, so the domain is confined to -8, 10. I'll comment that the open dots mean this point where this line hit this vertical line is not included. It's open at this end. Closed dot means this point really is included. When x equals -3, then the value of the function is this one, not this one. Because this point isn't really there. It's just where the line ends. Now, since the line gets infinitely close to this point, the line looks like it's hitting this line. Okay. Because you can't distinguish infinitely close from right on. You think about it. Okay. In any case, this point's included, this one isn't, this point's included. This function has three definitions because we just got three equations. The first definition, first function is y equals 2x plus 20. Okay, and that's true if x is between -8 and -3. But it doesn't work when x equals -3 because that point ain't there. Okay, every point up to -3, every x value up to -3, we got a point on the line, but not at -3, because at -3, we'll go to a different function, which we found to be y equals x plus 8. And this is true if 3 is less than or equal to x, but not if x equals 5. Right up to, but not at x equals 5. Then we have y equals, I don't think this is right, but it's -13 x minus 7. Not sure, -19. And this is for 5 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 10. 10 is estimated. And this equation is probably wrong. You can figure out what the equation is. You do just what I did, but do all the details, and don't make whatever mistake I made to get that, okay? That makes sense? This is a piecewise function. It's got a piece here for x from -8 to 3, right there it is. Got a piece here for x from -3 to 5, here it is. It's got a piece from x equals 5 to about x equals 10, and here it kind of is, but I think the function's wrong. I think the equation's wrong. Okay, that's what a piecewise function is. Now, you've seen the absolute value function if you've done section 1. Here's one way if you pick the absolute value function. If you don't remember it, review it. Examples, absolute value of 8 is 8, absolute value of -6 is 6. Okay, just, it's going to be positive. What you got in here is negative, then you just make it positive. Okay, now there's some subtleties to that I don't have time in 4 minutes to go over. But I do want to go over an absolute value equation. Absolute value of x minus 8 equals 12. That's true. x minus 8 equals negative 12, because if x minus 8 equals negative 12, what's the absolute value of negative 12? It's 12. If x minus 8 equals 12, then the absolute value of x minus 8 is 12. So that in this case, you would get x equals 4. In this case, you get x equals 20. Those are the two solutions. You know what I really, really don't want to see next time? I don't like people doing this. And no matter how many times I tell people that this equation has to split into two equations because x minus 8 could be negative 12 or it could be 12, they just decide to eliminate the absolute value signs and do this, and please don't do this. Also, when you do the homework, write it out on paper so I can see what you're doing and what you're thinking. And also, stupid camera. Will not stay in focus. Okay. No manual focus. I don't know. Okay, anyhow, we have this. Okay, now another one. I'd have you do this, but we don't have time. The absolute value of 4x plus 12 equals 16. Now, you see I've got the word or here. The solution to this will work in the equation, but the solution could also be this. So the solution to this is one solution. The solution to this equation is another solution. So we want to put the word or in here, and I really want you to start using the logic, a couple logical connectors. Okay. So we solve this equation. So in this case, x would be negative 7, because negative 7 gives you negative 28 plus 12. And I've got the dots here. The dots are you write out the steps for x equals 1. So if you have absolute value equations, I want to see them written out like that. Okay. Now, if you get them right, don't write them out that way. I probably won't penalize it. If you get it wrong and don't write them out that way, be prepared for a penalty, a big one. Okay.